From playoff hopes to 0-12, the Washington Wizards, they're not very good right now. Welcome into the Sporting News Studios. I'm Tom Vandervoort, and joining me now on the phone, fellow D.C. native David Steele, who is writing a column about the Wizards. And I got to ask you, David, at 0-12, that's a historically bad record. Is this a historically bad team or just a team with some bad luck right now?
I actually think it's more bad luck than bad team, but I think that they, in a way, had to be prepared for this to be a pretty bad season. I mean, every year they seem to think that everything's going to come together and they're going to challenge for a playoff berth in the Eastern Conference because there are a couple vulnerable spots near the bottom. But you bring back Randy Whitman, who really wasn't. They really didn't come back to turn this into a playoff team. It was really to try to settle the locker room down and bring some steadiness and professionalism and maturity to it. They just don't have a tremendous amount of talent, even when they're at full strength. So they're really just trying to grow this thing along, and there's going to be some really bad growing pains along the way. And I think an 0-12 record kind of tells you exactly how bad those pains are.
Yeah, certainly. You got Nene and John Wall obviously out of the lineup. I think Nene's been in there for 2 games, and they lost both of those in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. So when they get both those guys back, are they anywhere near a 500 club, or how big do you feel like the talent deficit is right now when those guys return to the lineup?
That helps a lot. They're clearly a better team, and they showed this at the end of last year when they acquired Nene from the Nuggets and the JaVale McGee, and that's a huge IQ trade-off for the Wizards, but also the talent trade-off as well. They were a much better, more cohesive team when Nene was on the floor, but you don't know how really healthy he's going to be because the sort of foot problems he has. They don't recover overnight, and the same could go for a broken kneecap with John Wall. I mean, he's a speed player. If those guys were at the peak of their health, you could probably call them a much better team, closer to possible number 8 seed contention, because everything fits better when those guys are there. But as long as they're still not at full strength, the other pieces just don't look as good.
Now, there's been a lot of pressure, obviously, on Ernie Grunfeld here. He got rid of some of the knucklehead contingent there at the Wizards with Nick Young going, JaVale McGee going, and Andre Blatch going, and now taking shots at the team. What does Ernie do from here, and how secure is he? I mean, are we in a blow it back up again situation? Is John Wall going to re-sign with this group? Where do you see the future of this team?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest fear that the Wizards have right now, is that if over the next couple of years the team sort of keeps running in place and keeps missing the playoffs and winning 20 games a year, there's no way they're going to be able to keep John Wall around, and he's going to be very attractive to a bunch of other people. In a sense, even though the really bad contracts are gone, there's a lot to call out Ernie Grunfeld for, because he's had to bring in bad contracts to get some of the bad ones out. So he's still got a big one for Trevor Reason, a big one for Emeka Okafor, and they made a nice draft pick again. Bradley Beal's going to be a really nice player, but he's sort of in the same situation as well. He's going to be stuck on a bad team for a while, and I think he's definitely under the gun, but I think that's all up to Ted Leonsis. He doesn't seem to be all that impatient. He seems to be willing to ride this out for whoever knows how long.
Well, I guess we're going to see. Washington Wizards fans will just have to hang on, and they're probably not going to enjoy the ride, but they're going to get a ride nonetheless. Hey, thanks for your time, David.
Sure, no problem at all.